Kory King here, and I'm joined with John Cameron of SkyWarn 6 Weather, who is, I don't know how he has all this information up in his head over the years, but John is sort of an enthusiast of weather history and as it affects our area here. John, thanks so much for taking a few moments with us.
Always good to be with you, Kory.
And so we are very quickly approaching the anniversary of Terrible Tuesday, of course. And how many years is this year?
I believe it's been 33
Wow.
from April of 79 to April of 2012.
So I want to, there's fewer and fewer people, I guess, all the time that really remember that day as we move, decades down the road. And we've just had a bit of a reminder in recent weeks down in Dallas-Fort Worth, I guess, of the destruction these storms can bring. Can you kind of give us an idea of the significance of that tornado here in Wichita Falls?
Yes, I can. It's significant in a lot of different ways. It was the third tornado to affect the city of Wichita Falls over a span of 21 years. So you think about that. There was a tornado that affected a part of the city in 1958. Then we had the April 3rd of 1964 tornado that did significant damage to Shepherd Air Force Base. I want to say it killed 5 people. Of the 3 tornadoes over that 21-year span, it was the only rated F5. Then, of course, we had this monster that rips through an 8-mile stretch of the city in April 10 of 79. So by the time we get to the summer of 79, and let's say you've lived a good part of your life in Wichita Falls, what we called Tornado Alley was very fitting. In fact, there was a kind of a mover and shaker in the city who I think went on to become mayor in the early 80s, and he suggested that perhaps the population of Wichita Falls plateaued as a result of the frequency of these tornadoes. And, of course, here we are 33 years later with virtually no weather devastation, at least tornado-related weather devastation in the city since that 79 tornado.
Wow.
And, up until the Tuscaloosa tornado of last year, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Wichita Falls was the deadliest single, or maybe I should say the most recent tornado to kill 40-plus people. And until the Oklahoma City tornado of May 3rd, 1999, Wichita Falls was the costliest tornado from a damage standpoint. In 1979 dollars, it did $400 million worth of damage.
Wow.
That's almost $1 billion tornado in modern, in modern money. In a city of probably just under 100,000 people, which is truly amazing.
That's crazy. And I know we've sort of talked about this before, but I think it's such an interesting question. But what if you were, because everybody talks about right before tornado, it gets so still, or it gets, this or that. Everybody sort of has their wives' tales about tornadoes. Waking up on that morning in 79, can you sort of give us an idea of what the conditions were like, maybe leading up to that? What as people were going about their day, what maybe they were experiencing, perhaps?
A lot of people said that it was a gorgeous spring day. Sunny, maybe a few clouds out there, just your typical southerly breeze. But that's usually how it happens. The start of a severe weather day is typically quite pleasant. There's usually always going to be a southerly or southeasterly breeze. That's the reason that we have the high humidity. Those south winds transport that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. So, by the time we get in the early afternoon, you notice the humidity. Then as we get into the mid and latter parts of the afternoon, you see the clouds start to tower, especially if the storms are developing nearby. You see those white, kind of knuckle-hard clouds towering in the heat of the afternoon. That's the sign that the ingredients are coming together for thunderstorm development. And in a few instances in April, May, early June, those thunderstorms are likely going to grow to produce very large hail damaging winds, and in some cases tornadoes.
Yeah. Do you have a good, I know you've done a lot of research in this stuff. Do you have a good idea of, and we've come so far in just the last few years as well, I know, but do you have a good idea of what the warning systems were like around that time and what kind of, equipment and methods we had to get the word out to people?
Severe weather forecasting had gotten pretty good by April of 79. You may remember that prior to 1950, the Weather Bureau, which eventually became the National Weather Service, wasn't even permitted to utter the word tornado warning or forecast tornadoes. The evolution of severe weather forecasting went pretty quick from the 1950s to the 1970s. We'd already had some devastating tornado events in the 1970s, namely the super outbreak of 1974. So we'd gotten into a time where forecasting, at least on a fairly wide scale of severe weather, was pretty darn good. And boy, the forecast really could not have been better for Southwest Oklahoma and North Texas. I would encourage everyone to go to the website that's dedicated to this event. All you have to do is go to Google, look up Red River Tornado Outbreak or Tornado April 79, whatever. It'll take you to this National Weather Service website. And all you have to do is look at the tornado watch box that was issued about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That watch box basically includes, I think, all of the 12 counties in which tornadoes occurred that evening. So they did a really good job. I think the tornado watch box stretched from just north of Lawton to just north of Abilene. So it was a good forecast. At that time, Wichita Falls had its own National Weather Service forecast office, so the meteorologists there were prepared to take on the day. Of course, they had help. They had cooperation from the National Weather Service in Oklahoma City, and I want to say the Fort Worth office as well. So the forecasting was good. It certainly wasn't storm scale like it is today. In other words, we're not going to pinpoint it down to the county. We're kind of close to that now. Of course, we did have Doppler radar. We knew what to look for. So yeah, I think by the time April 79 come around, the forecasting had gotten pretty good, and the technology was just about there.